Hello again. So this is the follow-up video to our lab activity that we are working on with our SQLite database. If you haven't watched the first part of this video, I recommend stopping and going to the first part where the link is in the YouTube description, and you can watch that one first. Okay, so we left off on our assignment here. We added a program title, already existed. We modified the user table and created new columns, and we populated our table with some fake data. And we left off at the create a menu for the user to interact with. So this changes our program substantially because as of right now, we've just been running commands and then outputting one thing. So what we want the menu to look like is something along the lines of this. So in my example, Marvel Universe database, I've got this little menu that's going to list all the names in the table. So that's going to be a report. And I'm basically just going to run through the output of that. And so in my example, if I choose one, I would see something like this, all names in the user table. Again, my database only has 2 people in it, so yours is going to look a little bit more substantial than that. And then after that is run, I'm going to show the menu again, and then the user can enter another choice. So in this case, 2, list the names and email phone number for all users. I got a nice little contact list here. And then again, I'm going to call the menu and put this again. Now, hopefully you're starting to see that that's a repetitive task. So we're going to put that inside of a loop, a game loop that I like to call. And then the next one is another report, list names and city state. So here, there's a name, city, state, and then come back to the menu. And then here's the one that's probably going to be the most robust option here, which is to add a new user. So someone's going to select 4, add a new user. So similar to what we've been doing with our books that we've been working with, or our movie database, we're going to create basically like a little form to fill out. So they're going to put in their first and last name, email, phone, street, city, 2-digit abbreviation for their state, and zip code. They're going to get a message that this person has been entered into the table, and now they will show up in our reports when we run those reports. And then of course we're going to have the exit the program option. So that's a lot. I created a new video so we can walk through all of this because this is going to take some lines of code. But what I wanted to point out to you is the example that I have also attached to our assignment instructions. So let's run through this real quick. This is showing you how to add a new book title. So let's say my fancy book, and I don't know, I'll go ahead and put my name and publication year 2021. Okay, so here we go. This is definitely a lot. So it says book added. Okay, I didn't output the name of the book, but that would be nice for the user experience. And then I am basically outputting the report of all the books. Now again, user experience goes, I wouldn't just output this, I would make them select it. But for the purpose of this example, I wanted to show you how this worked. So there's no menu system or anything in here at the moment, but you can walk through the statements here to input things. So here is our inputs, and we're saving every single thing to a variable, and then we're creating a insert statement. So here we go, insert into book. The name of the table is book, and we have 3 fields, book title, author, and pub year. And you'll see here that the values are question mark, question mark, question mark. So what we're doing here is we're going to execute this statement, and we're going to pass it the variables for those 3 inputs. and then we're going to say, hey, the book was added. And again, make sure that you commit, or those changes to the database aren't going to happen. All right, so let's build out our menu. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom and put in our if name equals main, then call the main function. Okay, that's going to be at the very bottom. And then I am going to create my menu. Okay, so above that, I'm going to create my main function. And let's just main function that will show the menu. You'd always put that menu in its own function if you want. But we're going to go ahead and use a loop. So we're going to say while true. And let's put our menu in a separate function. So I'll go ahead and create a menu as well with all of our options here. So options for 3 reports, 1 add new user and exit program. Okay, so there is the menu, and then I'm going to have them enter, select your option, put a space there. Let's put a line break, and then if choice equals 1, we'll do list names, elif choice equals 2. I think this was the contact information one. Let me just double check. Now again, these can be, your reports can be what they want. So names and email, phone number. Okay, so I'm going to say list contact info, and then elif choice equals 3. I'm going to do list location, list location, and elif choice equals 4. I'm going to add user. Gosh, my typing is so bad. Elif choice equals 5. This is going to be, we're going to break. And we'll just add an else in here in case they add something else. Invalid option, please try again. Okay. Okay, so add a print statement. Thanks for using our Marvel database. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go up to my menu and just print this out. Now, I'm not going to add a bunch of fanciness to this, but I would recommend that you do so. I'm going to say Marvel database program menu. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then I'm going to say print /n, choose the option below, print one list all names. Again, please make sure yours looks a little bit nicer than mine. 2 list names and names, phone and email. Print 3 list names, state names and location. We'll just call that, it's city state. Print 4 add new user, and print 5 exit the program. Okay, so that looks good to me. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this con and commit and put it in the end of my while true statement so that I can make sure that that is run before they close the program. Oops. Have that over, and farewell message. Okay, so as of right now, I don't have any of these other options working. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run through this. Well, actually, let me do a few things here. It's definitely gotta change all of our information. So I'm probably going to put something to create our table in its own function. So that's what I'm going to do here. Let me take these lines and put them in my main as well. I want these to show up at the beginning. I want them to be run first. So I don't need them to run every single time. So I'm not putting them in the loop. And then I'm going to create a new function called setup DB. And I'll probably be modifying this, but I just wanted all these things to be in here. So put that here. And then I'm going to create a function here that's, well, I'll leave these fake data to be in the setup data. Okay, so that looks good. And then my querying the table, this whole thing is going to be part of a report. So let's just put this in, what do I have here? I've got name, email, phone, state. That's kind of similar to number 2. So I'm going to call this number 2, which is going to be list contact info. I'm going to put all of this in list contact info. All right, you might need to pause the video and kind of work your way through this because I know I'm kind of making lots of cut and pastes and things and it might be hard to follow along, but okay, so so I have option 2 working and option 5 working. So now I'm going to run the program and see if this works at anything like I want it to. Okay, so I have an error on line 31. What did I do wrong here? Oh, I'm missing quotation. You guys probably saw that. Let's clear and run again. Okay, so that looks good. I need to get rid of my SQLite practice option. So first let me do 5. Okay, 5, exit the program. Yay, that works. That's awesome. And then I'm going to go 2, list phone and name. Okay, so I'm getting a problem here. Cursor is not defined. Okay, so let's see where I create that cursor right here. So I might want to, let me just see if I take and move this. This might cause me some problems too. So let's just see. It's going to tell me con doesn't exist. All right, so let's say I call list contact info and pass it the con. See if that works. Oops. Okay, so I can't reference that con variable unless I either pass it or turn it into global. So let's see if this works. Okay, yay, it works. It's very exciting. Okay, so yeah, that works. I definitely have some. I need to put a new line here in the Marvel database menu, but this is working how I want it to. It's got the loop, so it's showing that menu all the time. And now I'm getting a problem here, undefined name cursor. So it seems like, oh, I'm not even calling that. So let me call setup DB, and I'll probably need to send it the con as well. So let's see what we have here. Setup DB, do con, and create my cursor. All right. Okay, so that seems to be going okay. Let's do our other options for, you know, I'm gonna let you guys do your other reports because we've got an example here for listing the contact information. So you're gonna make your other reports how you want to, and then we'll just skip to add user here. So let's run through add user and create that function. So def add user, I'm going to pass it the con. And I'm going to take a look at how we ran the add user here. So I'm going to do I'm just going to copy this part from that program. And oops. Okay, hopefully that didn't do anything weird. Okay, so this is what my add user is going to look like, but I'm going to put add new user. So input, I need to go through everything here. First name, and just update all of this. First name, input, last name, and you can call these whatever you want. I'm just trying to make it clear what I'm doing. Last name, input, email, I just want to make sure I get these all in the same order that I have them. So first name, last name, email. Okay, so phone, do that, input phone, and then input street, and input city, and input state, 2-digit state, and input zip code. Okay, so that should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so that part got my inputs. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to prepare my statement and execute it. So then let's go back here and This is where you just have to be very careful. Input into user, that you know the exact name of all of your fields and your table. So I'm going to go back up to my create just to make sure I've got user and then first name, last name, email, phone. So I'm going to do those ones first. So first name, I'm having such a hard time typing, last name, email, phone, and then I believe it was street address, city, state, and zip code. So street address, city, state, zip code. Okay, so now I've got to update my values here to question mark. There should be 8. I have there, I think that's 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, and then I need to put all of my input variable names. So input first name, input last name. This is where I get really excited that I'm almost done and this might actually work, and that makes me feel good. Input phone, input street, input. As you notice, as I'm typing these, they're kind of disappearing with the green line above. That's kind of cool. Okay. Okay, now what is it telling me? Undefined cursor. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that cursor again. I could probably just pass this cursor along with the connection variable. It's probably the better way to do it. And I might just try that and see if this works. Okay, so I've still got red lines under the 2 other reports that I haven't done. I'm going to let you guys do those ones on your own, but I'm going to check and see if this works. Okay, first I get an error. I have line setup DB drop table if exists user. Okay, database disk image is malformed. All right, well, let's see here. I'm going to pause you for a second and see if I can figure out what that means. Okay, so what I had to do, I was getting an error that said database format was misformed. So I came over to my files and I just deleted this. So I deleted, and I'm going to delete this one. Delete, delete. Okay, so that might be scary and everything, and especially if you've added a whole bunch of data to it, definitely could be scary. So I still have my little option here to set up the database, and I'm almost thinking that I might want to turn that into a menu item so that if for some reason I need to go back and recreate this, because I don't necessarily want to create my database every time that I run this program, because I want that data to persist. So I just wanted to show you that by deleting that, I was able to get my error gone, and I should still just have those 2 records in here. So if I hit 2, it will list my contact information. And I notice I don't have my little, my nice little print statement that tells me what report this is. So again, those are all user experience things that you'll want to consider fixing for your own program. All right, so let's see. I haven't tested the add new user yet. So as you can tell, add user missing 1 required positional argument con. Okay, so let's take a look here. Add user con. Oh, because I didn't update it here. Add user needs to have that parameter set. All right, so let me exit and run it again. And here we go. So do Bruce banner, Bruce at marvel.com, 5545, whatever. I don't know, Ocean Avenue in, he can live in Malibu too. And there we go. Okay, so, oh, it says book added. Definitely need to fix that. So let me see. What do we have here? Input first input, first name added. Okay, let's try this again. Drawing a blank. Okay, Peter Parker. I'm just letting them all live in Malibu. Oh, it seems nice right now. Okay, so I'm going to list names, and it is not showing up. All right, let me see what's happening here. Am I not running cursor execute? What's strange is that Bruce Banner got added. Okay, so I've made some changes. I was having some issues with the add new user wasn't actually storing the user, and as I mentioned earlier, I think I needed to have that cursor sent as well. So what I've done for every single one of my functions so far is I've been passing the con variable and the cursor variable. So I've taken that cursor out of everywhere except the beginning of the main. So in main, I'm going to get rid of this print statement because it doesn't apply. So at the beginning of main, I'm creating that con and that cursor. Okay, and those, I think what was happening was I had cursor being created in these other functions, and so it was updating the cursor within the function, but then when it would come out of the function, it was referencing a different cursor and therefore wasn't showing. Like it was adding the user, and it was being told that the user was added, but then when I would run the list, it wasn't there. So this has fixed that problem. Okay, so again, con cursor at the beginning of main. And then what I'm doing is, if I'm passing the cursor, so the cursor is basically holding all the information in the table. And what's happening is if I'm passing the cursor to the function, I need the cursor to be returned as well. This con variable doesn't need to be updated because this is just a connection string to that database. The cursor is the one that is the more important part here, right? The part that's changing. Okay, so in order to get this to work correctly, I have to call the function. So here I'm doing setup db con cursor, but I am saving that to the cursor. So when I go to setup db, which is at the top here, I'm passing it con and cursor. I'm doing all my executions here. And then I need to come back and say return cursor. Okay, and then in list contact info, con cursor, we're not really making any changes to this, so I don't necessarily need to return the cursor in this case. But if I'm changing something in the data, I definitely need to send the cursor back. So for add user, I'm calling con and cursor as the parameters, and I'm returning the cursor. Menu, obviously I don't need to do anything with menu, but for the other reports, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to send it con and cursor, and I won't need to send back the cursor, but I will for everything else. Okay, so let's see if this works. I'm going to just put in placeholders because I keep accidentally pushing these numbers and then get killed out of my program. So I got list names and list locations. So let me just add these in here, and I'm just going to put a function, a print statement. So list locations, con cursor and print placeholder. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same thing for list names. I like to keep these in order of how they are showing up. Placeholder for list names, report, and placeholder for list locations. Okay, so let me stop this. Now, additionally, what I did was I have created all these drop table and create table and insert my fake data here in a new function called setupdb. And then I added to my menu something that says initialize database. Careful, this will wipe all data. So I want my data to persist. And that means I don't want to create a new table every time I come in here. But I do want this option in case I need to do a wipe of the data. And it might even be best to kind of password protect that. So like if someone chooses this option, have them enter a passcode in order to actually run that, because it's kind of like a, are you sure you want to do this? You know, maybe put something like that. Are you sure you want to do this? This is going to wipe all the data. So if you've spent, 10 minutes adding 5 new records and then you accidentally hit 0, all those records are going to be gone. All right, so fingers crossed that this works the way I want it to work. I don't want to initialize the database. What I want to do is I want to list the names, phone, and email. So because I haven't initialized the database, I don't have anyone in here. So let's see what happens. So I'll initialize the database. So I did 0, and then there are my 2 records, and then let's add a new user. So I'll go ahead and put Bruce Banner in here with some real data and some real fake data. And he's still living in Malibu. Okay, so let's try it. 2. Yay! It works. All right, so this is working the way I want it. Now watch what happens. I'm going to exit the program, and then I'm going to clear this. I'm going to run the program again, and I'm not going to initialize the database, but I highly recommend that you add that and that you put in some sort of check before someone can run that. Okay, so I'm going to list. Here we go. So there's Tony, Carol, and Bruce. So this is a persistent data system. Now I just want to double check my placeholder. Okay, yeah. So this is working good. Oh, list location isn't defined. I think I list locations. It's not, it doesn't have an S. So there we go. Again, my user experience isn't great. Definitely need to put some formatting in there and make my columns line up and add a little bit of spacing and identification for those reports. But hopefully this will get you what you are looking for. I'll go ahead and scroll through this program real slowly. So if there's anything that I have changed while I was on pause, you can take a look at this. So again, here is that setup DB, and I would work in something additional so that it doesn't just run this. So again, this drop table, that will kill your table, and this create table will reset your table back, and then these will populate the fake data. And then I've got my, so again, every single thing's doing con cursor, but the ones that are actually changing the database and not just reading from the database, I have to return that cursor back. And there we go. Okay, so hopefully this this makes sense. I mean, I think this is so powerful, and you can pretty much, do an endless thing here if you connect with a graphical user interface for Python, which is actually in our textbook, and kind of put all of this into a graphical user interface. You have like a little database system that you can work with. And this is definitely the next steps. So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson. If you have come up with a better way to do this, or a way to have that persistent data that is different than mine, please let me know. I'm happy to see if you've come up with a better way to handle this. So thank you. Thanks for all your hard work, and take care. Bye.